What's going on, guys? Seth and Chevy here doing a TLG Reacts for the Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail official teaser trailer and general information that was gathered from the fan fest that just happened recently that we definitely know happened because we were in Vegas at the same time the fan fest was happening. You could definitely tell because there were cat girls all over the place and a lot of people who had Final Fantasy shirts on, which was really interesting to see. We were there at the same time because originally we were planning on maybe going earlier in the year, but then you said there's some kind of lottery system with the tickets and it didn't work out. So we went anyway because we were planning on going down there anyway. Had fun, but it's very weird to be there while there was a Final Fantasy event happening. Even on the side of Resorts World, there was a giant Resorts World is a multi hotel building. The side of the building had a Final Fantasy 14 advertisement on it, which was really interesting. And the second time I've been in a city where there was Final Fantasy 14 advertisements all over the place, which is weird.
Oh, true.
Because when I went to E3 in 2019, the last E3 ever, rest in peace, there was like buses and all sorts of shit with Final Fantasy 14. So apparently they will put a budget into advertising for 14, which is really weird to see. So we're going to be watching the trailer. We haven't watched it. We've been holding off because we were not here when FanFest was happening, and I figured it'd be best if we watch it blind. Also, for anybody who doesn't follow the channel regularly, I have played Final Fantasy 14, but I am not current with it. So I'm only here to kind of go, hey, that's cool. I appreciate that. There's some info here that I've heard already that I do have opinions on for sure. But you are the resident Final Fantasy 14 player. You said you are a couple patches behind, but you are current.
Content-wise, I think MSQ or main story, I think I'm current. So
yeah. So for anybody who's watching this, want to know where we're coming from, that's where we're coming from. So if I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, it's a very good chance I don't.
And I'm forgetful. So if I slip with the tongue or anything, just correct me. It's fine.
Yeah. But Chevy will be the dude who will have most of the experience with this, and I'm just the guy who likes Final Fantasy stuff, even though I need to play the MMO more. So before we watch the trailer for the first time, a legit reaction, let's go over some of the bullet points of what was announced during FanFest. Okay. I think you have a list.
I do, so I apologize. I'm going to be looking at my phone a lot for this, but so yeah, the expansion is called Dawntrail, which if you're going through the story, it would make sense thematically why it'd be called that. The new area for also, just I'm going to throw this out there real quick. If you don't want to know any information on the expansion, I'm going to recommend that you skip to the trailer reaction if you're here for that, because there might be what you may consider spoilers.
I'll have it chaptered, so just skip forward. But also because I'm not currently caught up with the story as well, I'm sure you're not going to go full spoilers.
No, but people's severity of what they consider spoilers all over the place. Yeah. I think context matters. Yeah. I don't think anything's going to matter for you. But in case you do care, skip ahead. So that being said, you've been warned. The new area is the New World. I hope I say this right. Tural, Tural. It is a completely different continent, so we'll be leaving the map we've known for the last 10 years and going to a whole new area.
And some of the information I have gathered without knowing the details of the story is that the story had concluded, so this kind of makes sense to start fresh somewhere else.
Which that's the Dawntrail aspect of the expansion. There's typical fare, with this. There's going to be new dungeons, new raids, new zones, new, player hub, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to skip all that because it's just kind of known that this kind of stuff exists. And if you want more details on that, I would suggest to either watch the live letter or check out the Reddit Final Fantasy 14 Discord channel. They have a translation page where they have pictures and translations of all the stuff they talked about. So
now, because this is a whole new zone and starting a whole new storyline and location, do you think it's going to be a huge chunk of new stuff like that, new dungeons and stuff like that?
It's going to be the same as any expansion.
Okay.
So I don't have a number off the top of my head, but you'll get your dungeon at 90 to go into the next topic, the level cap's going from 90 to 100.
Okay.
So like 91, 93, 95, 97, 99, 100, and then a bunch of 100 dungeons. So with generally three trial fights that are usually like, big storyline boss moments, and then raids or side content, so they happen later. So yeah, they confirmed there'll be 2 jobs this expansion. A lot of people were speculating that this might be the expansion. They decided to do 1 job per expansion because let's be realistic, the more jobs they add, the more work they have to do to make armor and weapons and stuff like that. They're still doing 2, so it'll be a melee DPS and a caster DPS, but that's all the information they gave. Purely speculation, but I have heard rumors saying that the melee might be Corsair, so like a pirate style.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
So melee DPS, and what was the second one you said?
Caster, like a mage.
So 2 DPS. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always going to be 1 DPS. Yoshi has, since he said that years ago at this point, just because it's a selling point.
Yeah.
Have a DPS. So
Well, it seems like the average person's playing DPS.
most people want to play DPS. Yeah.
Yeah.
So some other things of note with this expansion is they're going to start rolling out their first graphical update of the game. The game is over 10 years old, and it's looking it. So they are trying to slowly implement graphical changes, which will include improvements to screen-wide aesthetic appeal, higher resolution textures and shadows, improved material qualities, and with all this, they're still going to preserve the overall look that people know and love, because they don't want the game to look different. They just want it to look nicer. Gonna roll out incrementally, so you're gonna see some NPCs and characters that will be new looking, and some that are still old looking as they release it over time.
And so this is an example, apparently, of the graphical upgrade. And so what, the thing on the right
Is the old one.
is the old one, and the one on the left is the new one.
Yeah.
Which there's definitely a difference. The one on the left has a lot more subtle details that look softened. The one on the right looks a little more plasticky, possibly. And then here's another picture that shows the difference. I think the one on the right is the older one. It's
always the old one.
You can tell it's a little more muddier in its textures. Hopefully everyone can see what we're looking at. Yep, they can. A little muddier in the textures, and a little more grainy looking. The one on the left is definitely sharper and higher res textures going on here. But you can't see the rest of the room, so it's kind of hard to see what's going on there. But there's definitely a pretty big difference here. And in an MMO with all the details and all the things moving around and running, environments, all these small little details are going to make the whole thing look much better.
For sure.
So yeah, very interesting to see.
Yeah. So with that, the system specs are also going to be going up this expansion, which I don't think they have in a while. So I do have the old and the new here. So there's no change to the operating system, and there's no change to hard drive or SSD space. So I'll just throw that out there right now. The minimum CPU is going to be an i7. It was an i7 6700 or higher, and it's going to be a 9700 or higher. 8 gigs of RAM to 16 gigs of RAM. An NVIDIA GTX 970 or Radeon RX 480 will now be an RTX 2060 or an RX 5600 XT or higher, and the default resolution is going from 720p to 1080. So, or minimum. I'm sorry.
I mean, that all makes sense. And then graphics are going up. You're going to need new specs.
And then also PS4 is still going to be supported. So if you're on PS4, don't worry about it.
Oh, nice.
Let's see. Some system updates as well for you Glamour, or if you're familiar with Blizzard games instead, transmog lovers out there. You're going to be able to put 2 colors of dye on armor going forward now. So you'll have even more options for customizing your appearance. They're also going to add equipable eyeglasses alongside your headgear. So you can now have glasses. They will not have stats. They're purely for looks, but you can equip glasses now, which is kind of cool. And then the furnishing limit will be increased for housing, so you'll be able to put more stuff in your house. So
that's cool.
Cool. Yeah.
I wonder if that just comes with the territory of upgrading graphics, stuff like that, more memory.
That's more of a coding thing. They've talked about this for years now. The code is so busted from the original game, and they've just stacked on top of it for so long that they constantly go through, and as they fix some of that stuff that's buried deep in the code at this point, they can kind of increase numbers for things that are in the game.
Yeah, it's just like you're already working on stuff anyway, so might as well.
Yeah. Plus, for a lot of people in the game, the social stuff is the most important part. So.
Sure. It's an MMO.
Yeah. Let's see. The free trial. So for anyone who doesn't own the game, only has a free trial account or is possibly interested in trying the game, and this is not an ad, the free trial is being expanded up to the Stormblood expansion, which is the second expansion. So you get 3 full games for free to try out the game out. That gets you to level 70 and gives you a lot of jobs to play as. So I would totally say to do it, because most games demos aren't that big. So, and you can literally do the end game in Stormblood if you want to, for as long as you want. So they're doing a Fall Guys collab. I kind of showed you, which is a weird one. So if you want to look like a Final Fantasy character or monster, you'll be able to in Fall Guys coming at the end of the month. Probably one of the biggest bits of information outside of just the typical expansion stuff is that there is going to be finally an Xbox version of Final Fantasy 14.
Finally.
Yep. Phil Spencer showed up and was on stage, and they talked about it. It will be digital only. There will be no physical versions, but it will support 4K, and you'll be able to hang out with your friends. If you have not had the opportunity to play the game, you will have it now. So
yeah, this honestly, without being too invested in the game to be super excited for a new expansion, which I am, but it's not relevant for me. That's like the biggest news here for me personally. Like, graphic update is also great because that's always exciting when MMOs do that. But I'm of the mindset that every single MMO that exists needs to be as cross-play as possible, because you need to have as much people in that community as possible, and to have people separated or not even have access to it. Getting Xbox on there finally is huge. There's a whole demographic of people who are not playing this game.
True.
That are going to be able to play now. So that's great for them, but also great for the game itself. So
it's a win for everybody.
It's huge, yeah. And I'm glad. For the longest time we're hearing, well, we can't do it, they can't do it, blah, blah, they don't want to do it. That they're finally doing it. Awesome. Really happy to see that.
Yeah, and then as a side note, and it could just be PR, obviously, but Phil Spencer did mention that, this is a new beginning to a new relationship with Square Enix, basically. So I take that as they're going to try to get more Square games on Xbox. So
you're joking and saying that watch PlayStation by Square Enix now.
That would be so shitty. So, and I don't have an Xbox, but I don't want to see that happen. So
sure.
Let's see. So and these are just some mentions to throw out there while discussing some of the more technical aspects of the game. He said the tech exists for cross-region data center travel, and to put that in simpler terms, the game is divided in clusters of servers. They're called data centers. You used to be stuck in just your data center and be able to play on your server, and then it became you can play on your data center, and now you can hop to data centers in your region. So like if I'm in this cluster, I can go to the loading screen, move to this cluster with my character, play with people on this one. They said they can do even further, so like you could take a character to Japan or Australia or SEA. I think SEA actually plays on Japan, but regardless, you can move to a whole other region. But they are hesitant to do that. Basically, they have concerns about different player cultures clashing. They would like to gather more information before implementing such a system. So, and then the last bit here, They're thinking of potentially adding old Final Fantasy titles to the Gold Saucer and Your House, up to Final Fantasy VI as their pixel remaster versions. Final Fantasy 4 through 6 are quite big and may have to be paid content in the Mog Station, which is their cash shop. Not enough super programmers at this point to make this reality yet. Yoshi P wants you to apply to Square Enix if you think you're the one who can make it work.
Interesting. So they want to make it so you can play them
Final
in
Fantasy 1 through 6 in game. Full remake. The ones that just came out. So pretty cool.
Yeah. I also think it's interesting that they don't have the people to do that, because I'm sure everyone they got working on something.
Every time they do a live stream, they say they're hiring. Every time. Yeah. They're like, we don't have enough programmers. Please apply. So
that's cool.
Yep. They probably get more applicants, but when you go look, knowing Japanese is mandatory. So
yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Kind of shrinks your pool a little bit.
Yeah,
so.
For sure.
But yeah, that's all the cliff notes I thought were relevant. I mean, if you play the game, you already know all the typical stuff. There'll be dungeons, raids. They are looking into making more exploration content in the future, deep dungeons. They're adding more to the island content as well. So I mean, they're just what you're playing already, plus more. So
yeah, when it comes to the information, it sounds really cool. I think the Xbox thing is huge. The graphical update is also really awesome. As MMOs exist for years upon years upon years, it is pretty typical for them to get graphical updates, and it's always welcome, because as much as you love this game, it's always really easy to tell when you return to a game. But if you've been playing actively for a long time, it starts looking a little dated, and you're seeing all these brand new games coming out, and they're looking really good, and you want it to, look a little more modern, and it's a big task, but I always appreciate when people do that. The expansion details sound interesting as they can be for me personally, but really glad to hear that the game's still being supported further in terms of expansion support. I didn't think anything otherwise of that, but given that I know that the story had ended, I was curious on what they'd do with this, and we got an answer to that. And then there was another detail that I forgot. The Fall Guys crossover, really interesting. But I know a lot of people have done collabs with Fall Guys, and I don't know, it might be a reason for me to hop back in and play Fall Guys. I haven't played that since it was first released. So
I know Square's done a near collab with them before too, so it's not their first time talking.
Yeah.
So
but good.
I was just gonna say the other thing I had a note on was if this is your first time experiencing an expansion release or FanFest, there are 3 of them, one for the States, one for the EU, and one for Japan, and they trickle information through all 3. So there's a ton of stuff we just don't know yet. We're the first ones, so this is the announcement stuff. Then we'll get some details in London when that one happens, and the last of the details in Japan for the final FanFest. Also, the trailer will get longer as we go, so there'll be 2 more versions of the trailer to watch.
It's interesting they do it almost like a tour. I think they're going around making sure it's a fan fest for everybody, but also making sure they don't just give you all the info and just repeat it at every fest. So
they also need to stay, because there's still one more major patch to happen in this expansion, so they need you to still kind of be in the now.
Well, will they reveal the new jobs?
They'll probably do one at London, one in Japan.
Okay. Which I'm really curious to see what they do, because adding new classes in any MMO is always a pretty big thing, because it changes everything.
Yeah, they'll probably also then do a media tour and a job action trailer, and then a benchmark trailer along with a downloadable benchmark to use. So pretty typical.
Interesting. Well, from your perspective as somebody who plays, what do you think about all this news?
Well, the system stuff wise, I'm always happy to hear, because they're really pretty active about adding more and more features. Oh, one thing that wasn't in my notes, they're adding a in-game raid planner, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
There's a bit of salt when it comes to them adding these features. A lot of times people made mods, which you're not supposed to use according to terms of service, regardless of your opinions on that. It's in the terms of service. My opinion is irrelevant. The people have been banned for these features, but then they also take that information like, oh, a lot of people using this mod, and then they put it in the game as a feature, even though these people got banned anyways. So kind of a sore spot for some people, but
Makes
anyways,
sense.
you can do raid planning with visuals now coming soon. So pretty cool.
Definitely a cool feature. Yeah.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought. What I was saying before that, though.
General impressions of all the information.
Oh yeah. Well, it's kind of hard for me to, especially because I haven't seen the trailer yet. Really have any hard opinions going forward, because we're still kind of in this, which I'm now assuming is just going to be a storyline contained to these patches that we've been going through, but it hasn't felt like it was like leading to an expansion yet. It definitely felt like we're just kind of doing this story right now. So I'm clueless what the big plan is, but I'm excited for them to have an opportunity to start over. I also don't expect them to do another 10-year story, and I don't think they plan to do that again. It'll probably be smaller stories from here on out, but it's totally fine because that gives them an opportunity to kind of try more things. So plus there's plenty of little pockets of lore they can just, we've heard about all these things through this whole adventure, and now they can cover those things, without having to just pile more mysteries on top of it. So we'll see.
So is the game entering its Mists of Pandaria phase?
I don't know what that means.
It just seemed like everybody was really excited about the story in WoW, up until like Lich King or whatever, and then like when Mists of Pandaria came out. I know a lot of people enjoyed it, and a lot of people didn't like it, but it seemed like the story just kind of wasn't as exciting or compelling. I'm not saying that's going to happen in 14, but now that they've completed a story and you're kind of saying like, they might do these little micro stories. I'm curious to see how it's received over time.
Yeah. I'd be speaking out of ignorance, trying like what the Blizzard community felt, outside of like, numbers wise. Obviously everyone knew who Arthas was, and that was kind of like a huge point.
Yeah, I'm just speaking based off of like years and years and years and years of hearing people talk about all those things.
Yeah.
It seemed like a lot of people, the general across the board excitement for the story kind of fell off once it went into that kind of territory.
Yeah, I think a lot of older players for sure. I'm so out of the loop. It's hard for me to even talk about it too much. And this could be similar in regards of like, people who got their resolution out of the last expansion might not find excitement because there's not that 10 years of buildup now that they've gone through. Starting over is kind of hard, I think, for certain types of people. So we'll see.
Though luckily it's an MMO, so like if you're invested this far into it, it's gonna be hard to like not be invested in whatever the hell they do next. So
yeah, I also know they are trying to figure out a way for there to be like a way to experience the story quickly, so that you can play with your friends if you want to without missing out on the story. Though UHP did emphasize that you should play through it because it'd be like starting in season 6 of a show. So
yeah, it makes sense.
But yeah, they are trying to plan something. I also know in the past he's talked about the level cap can't just keep going up. It'll be a math nightmare. So they'll have to come up with a new system at some point, which I think 100's probably going to be that breaking point for him, if I'd guess. Because they already did a number squish once.
When you said they were upping it to 100, I was like, do they plan on just like doing that forever? But yeah, it sounds like they're not. So
yeah, they already are aware because they already had to do a numbers crunch once. Then they will have to do another one because the way they did it was to basically buy them time, and then that same system can just continuously be applied if they need to. So
makes sense.
Yeah. Fortunately, it went smoothly because that could have been a nightmare. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the future of the game holds. The last 2 expansions were fantastic in the regards of story. And I think the resolution was good. I'm trying really hard to be vague, though. Didn't work for everyone. I know one guy personally who just, he's fine with it, but he kind of hates the things that were added in Endwalker to tie up the story because they weren't in the game beforehand. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, I can't say. I literally will spoil a shit ton if I even say a name. So, but yeah, I liked it. But I could see from their perspective. We've had multiple conversations, and I get it. I think it was handled well, but people like different stories, so it's
to each their own.
Wrong, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Do we want to watch the trailer then?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So. Let's watch the trailer. Let me get it all. There it is. This is the Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail official teaser trailer. Teaser makes a lot of sense after you said that they'll be unraveling or revealing more to the teaser. I remember, I think the last expansion or the expansion before that you were showing me every once in a while more of the trailer, which was
teaser, extended teaser, and then full trailer.
Yeah. So let's watch this, and then we'll talk about what we think of it. It's 2 minutes and 29 seconds. In 3, 2, 1, and go.
It's muted.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh.
I hate YouTube does that auto quality shit.
Blue seas, clear skies, and boundless possibilities. I dare say our destination will soon be in sight.
Enjoying yourself for a change?
Oh, interesting. Looks like we shaved. That is definitely soaking.
This song's going wild.
It's kind of what needs to start getting those recent expansions. What's up, buddy? So kind of going tribal? See a shield though.
Corsair, dude.
Possibly. I'm sure in the future trailer he'll take the robe off. Taco. Are we going like Aztec vibes? That's happening here.
Might you have a moment to speak further?
It's very pirate-like, so the whole Corsair thing you said earlier, I think you're onto something.
At last, we are come to the land you call the New World. My home. Put out.
And the alcohol boats and stuff.
The vibe of this is so different than like the last two expansion trailers.
Starting over, so
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like it.
beginning of a new adventure. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a teaser because I got very little from that. I mean, I'd have to watch it over and over again to kind of steal some other stuff from it, but interesting.
Yeah, we got a heavy water theme, sailing theme, very pirate looking in some ways to me. Some of the stuff looks like Aztec, tribal inspired, with these weird lizard people. A lot of faces that seem familiar to you. Yes. I was like, I don't know who that is. And then, yeah, there's a lot of hidden elements to the main dude. They're not really showing him a whole lot. Is that supposed to be?
It's you. It's a representation of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Warrior of
His
whatever.
name's Meteor in the trailers. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm wondering if they, like you were just kind of alluding to, are going to reveal something with him, with his outfit.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's going to remove the robe, and we'll see the job armor.
Yeah, that would make sense. And yeah, the trailer overall was decent, but it does feel more introductory than it does compared to like the last couple trailers when it came to the other expansions that felt like, a big finale type feeling. So it's very interesting tonally, though definitely cool. The song was like,
I loved it, but
like fucking super chill, bruh. Like we're going on an adventure, but it was cool. It was an interesting song. Definitely not what I was expecting, but had a lot of cool things going on there, and a lot of these scenes where people are just sitting around eating and hanging out is really interesting as well. So,
well, yeah, it definitely has like that. It's a new adventure vibe, because even like Thancred's just holding up a treasure map there, like,
yeah.
So it's almost like the threat's gone, but they're still adventurers, so they're looking for the next adventure, which I kind of like. And then it's up to them to write an interesting direction for them to go, but the beginning will be a lot of just like hanging out, basically.
I think it's interesting too. In typical Final Fantasy fare, the logo with the background is like an island. So it's definitely
it's the main city. I think it was also last No, it wasn't. I've already forgotten what the Endwalker one looks like. Oh, it's the moon.
Yeah.
And the ship. Yeah. So.
What'd you think?
It was fun for sure, and there's a lot of little bits there to take in. It feels a lot more lighthearted, which probably the game needs, because the last two expansions were pretty heavy and dark.
Yeah, what if it's just like, a lighthearted story, but just fun?
And I would welcome that. Because basically we're getting 2.0 all over again, in a sense, or the base game, where you're an adventurer. You start off, a Realm Reborn, on a wagon or a boat, depending on which faction you pick to start with, and you just do side quests for people until you stumble into, characters that kind of rope you into this, adventure you go into with the Ascians and stuff. So
yeah, which I can see this slowly turning into something where a new story is unfolding.
Yeah, though I do want it to still have some connective tissue, because I do feel like, how do I say this? This place has been mentioned in the game multiple times, so its existence isn't like brand new. The new world is where Blue Mages came from, as an example, lore-wise.
Interesting.
So, yeah. And so we've gotten tidbits and stuff like that, just like those places in Endwalker we finally visited that have been talked about since 2.0 as well. Like, so they're really good about that kind of stuff. But we don't know a whole lot about this. It's been kind of a mystery. So, which, makes sense if we're going there for the first time. So, I also like seeing all the faces I saw, though there are some missing people. I doubt they'll be missing the whole time, but the cast, as people may know it, is not quite the same. I don't know how else to say that without spoiling
Maybe some of those
anything.
characters are pulling Inosuke and Zenitsu fucking sitting on the side for the season.
Well, they are busy, for sure. So, but so were some of those other characters. So, curious to see who is involved outside of the ones that we definitely saw in the trailer. I think it makes sense that we saw Estinian and oh god, brain, please. Why can't I remember her name right now? Ishtola, because they're kind of fan favorites anyways. So, but yeah, no, it looks cool. I can't wait for a larger trailer that actually gives us more meat. This is very appetizer.
It's a big one, but it does feel like a teaser.
Yeah.
This is just kind of giving you like a little bit of the concept, a little bit of the tone, but it's not giving you any information really. So,
also, I missed the gruff look on us, but
He's got to look like a swashbuckler.
Times are more relaxed now, I guess. So he remembered to shave.
Yeah, he looks like a swashbuckler out there on the 7 seas.
Yeah, well,
or however many seas they got in this world.
Yeah, he's got his hair up and everything too, which I think is funny because he was very like gruff and like, weathered last expansion. So
nice chilling on vacation.
Oh yeah.
All right, well, looks cool. Got anything else you want to say on it?
No, not really. I don't know what I could say. It's really mostly just visuals. I'm sure, like I said, someone's done a breakdown where I could probably get some more info out of it. But for now, yeah, nice teaser. Looking forward to London for an extended look and some more info on what's in the expansion.
Yeah, we'll have to keep up to date on that and then cover it as it comes out in a possible Tasty Cast, or if it's enough information, we'll do a TLG Reacts as well. But unless you have anything else to say, let us know in the comments. What do you guys think about all the information that came out of FanFest? Did you go to FanFest? How was that? And what really stood out to you in terms of that information? What do you think about the Xbox news? What do you think about the graphic update? What do you think about the information we have on Dawntrail as an expansion? Are you excited for it? And are you currently playing Final Fantasy 14? Are you possibly going to return to it for this, or start from scratch possibly? I still know people who will try the game out every once in a while for the first time. And what do you think of the trailer? What did you get from the trailer? And what do you expect from this expansion? And what do you think the DPS classes are going to, or jobs are going to be? Let's speculate. And
though I would say, if you do have to talk about something in detail, please give spoiler warning for people who maybe don't want to read that. So,
yeah, no, definitely agree. And yeah, let's have a conversation. But I think it's going to do it for this TLG Reacts. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and we will talk to you guys soon when it comes to the next, I think, upcoming. No. We have Plus Club coming up, delayed because we just got back from vacation, and Game of the Month as well. So stay tuned. We got those episodes coming out in the next day. So hopefully play those games and join us. But I've been Seth. This has been Chevy. And until next episode, have a good one, guys, and take it easy.